Hello everyone. My name is Mansi and I've got something cool to share with you today. We are going to dive into how to set up a risk assessment metrics in ServiceNow. It's a question that keeps popping up from different clients, so I thought why not make a quick video tutorial for anyone wanting to breeze through the configuration process. So let's grab your coffee and jump into a laid back demo to make this whole configuration thing a piece of cake. As you all might know, for any risk assessment, we need impact and likelihood. Look at this 4 by 4 risk matrix. Let's have a look to this one. This is the 4 by 4 cross matrix. As you can see on the impact has minor, moderate, major, and severe options. Likelihoods are not likely, likely, highly likely, and expected. When any assessor assess any risk, and provide the rating for impact. It could be moderate, minor, major, or severe, and what would be the likelihood of it. Based on impact and likelihood, risk rating gets calculated. So for example, if any risk being selected as moderate for impact and the likelihood of that risk to be happen as expected, the risk rating should be 8 medium based on this 4 by 4 risk assessment metrics. This is just an example, and I would like to show you how easy it is to configure in ServiceNow instance. So I'm going to share my demo instance with you, and I will use this particular risk matrix example as well for reference purpose. Now you can see um, in ServiceNow we got risk assessment methodology where we configure the risk metrics. So when I go to the risk assessment methodology, this is the demo RAM that I have configured for all the risk which are part of entity classes business unit. Assuming you all are on the same page about the entity concept in ServiceNow. If not, drop a comment and I'll whip up another tutorial for those eager to get the lowdown on entities. So let me know. In the workflow section, you can see inherent risk, control effectiveness, residual risk. These are the workflows that is available out of box. So these are checked because I want to do the assessment on inherent risk assessment and I want to do the residual risk assessment based on my controls that is available for those risks. When you save that particular record, automatically this assessment types comes up here in the assessment types. Now, what is the next step is when how do you configure the inherent assessment is here. When you open that inherent assessment, it asks the assessment contribution is based on qualitative and quantitative. So of course, qualitative, as you can see, this is all ratings that we can see. It's not a dollar value, so no quantitative, it's qualitative. In the factors, since there are impact and likelihood two factors, so in ServiceNow, you need to create two factors, manual factors, impact and likelihood. These are the manual factors that I have created. So I'm going to show you one by one how I have configured that. This is the impact uh, manual factor that I have created, which is being called under this particular RAM. If you have a need to have some similar manual factor to be called in some other RAM, you have an option to copy the existing manual factors and call it in the different RAM. You can't have a same manual factor being called in more than one risk assessment methodology. All right, so this is the guidance text. So based on minor, moderate, major, and severe, I have just put some of the guidance for the risk assessor to understand what rating means, and these are the choices. Every choice has its own score 1, 2, 3, 4. It all matches the score here 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, now let's have a look to the likelihood quickly. So this is the likelihood. Again, it's the same thing. It's a manual factor. And I have added not likely, likely, highly likely, and expected. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the rating here 1, 2, 3, 4. You can always change the rating if you want to see only not likely, not with the numbers. So you just have not likely, and system would calculate the score against the value that has been selected, right? Going back, what happens when the impact and likelihood being selected? The whole mapping comes up here in the in the qualitative rating criteria section. In that section, as you can see, these are the three ratings: low, medium, and high. These are the colors available. So I'm going back to this particular metrics example. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. So any of the value from 1 to 4 considered as low. Any value more than 4, let's say 5, up to 8, considered as medium, right? Because there is 8 medium here as well. And any value between 9 to 16 is high. So what happens is you define the low rating value in the overridden score and select what rating would be. So if any of the value uh, between impact and likelihood multiply numbers comes under between range of 1 to 4, the rating, my risk score rating would be low. And how multiplication is happening based on my scoring logic. Out of box, we do have some minimum, maximum, average, product, weighted average, and script. Some is when the impact and likelihood rating would have the values and it sums up the value and provide the rating. Product would do the multiplication. In this particular example, you can see it's a multiplication that's happening. So for example, 4 severe, 4 expected is basically 16 high, right? So 4 multiply 4 equals to 16. So that means the multiplication is happening and providing the risk rating, not just the risk rating with the scoring as well. So just to simulate this exact example, I have selected product. You can select any of it, and then based on it, you need to define what rating range can be part of low, medium, and high. If it's low, the color would be green. If it's medium, it's yellow, and then high comes up with the red color. Similar thing in the heat map colors, what I did is I have defined what would come on the x-axis and y-axis and what are the risk color style. So if x-axis is minor and not likely, the green color would come up. Let's have a look to here. Minor and not likely is green color. In the second row, you can see minor and likely is also green color. So that is minor and likely green color. So minor with every, all the likelihood would come up in the green color. So that's how I have defined those color styles. And that is what is very important for you to have a look how easy to configure those mapping of inherent of mapping of impact and likelihood and gets the risk color style. It is configurable if there is a different color, maybe not green color, maybe a light green color, that is something you can define it here. So this is defined here, and the risk color defines that you can define any hexadecimal values and call out those color styles and add here. Once this inherent assessment has been done, you need to publish it. Publish is important because without publishing it, you can't be assess any risk against this particular inherent assessment. Now I'm going back to my risk assessment methodology. The similar thing I have done for control assessment and residual assessment. So if I open the control assessment, you can see I've added two factors here: design effectiveness and operating effectiveness. Based on it, these are the three criteria that I have added. So controls can be effective, controls may be partially effective or ineffective. Based on it, I'm providing the values. Now, the next part is the residual risk assessment. So residual risk assessment is something that I'm saying what my scoring logic would be, look up metrics between the inherent assessment and the control effectiveness. These are the three options available out of box, right? So when I want to see what is my inherent assessment risk scoring and what is the status of my control, based on it, my residual scores would come up automatically in the system. So this is the metrics. So this comes up automatically. The only thing that you need to fill up is the scores and the ratings with the styles. So when the inherent risk is high and my controls would be considered as effective, my overall rating of the risk would be low. So my residual risk rating is low, though the same risk rating has inherent risk high. Okay. So residual risk rating, of course, would be lesser than your inherent risk rating after the control has been predicted. All right. Um, and these are the three, again, these are the ranges that I have defined. It's similar concept that we have defined in the inherent assessment. So that's how the whole RAM risk assessment methodology that you can configure in ServiceNow. It's being, as I said earlier, this particular RAM will be called for all the risk has entity with the business unit. So let's have a look to quickly for a risk that I can quickly show you how to create a risk and assess the risk. So since I know my entity being called as business unit and the business unit has HR entity, so I'm calling as HR entity to make sure this particular risk assessment will get scored. And I submit that particular risk assessment. That's the one that I have created. And I want to assess that particular risk. So when I do assessment of this particular risk, that automatically goes to the assessor to do the assessment. So when I go view assessment, since it is assigned to user able tutor and I'm not impersonating able tutor, I would not be able to do any further stuff. So what I do is I go here, I impersonate able here and just reload that form. And now you can see there is an assess button that comes up on the top. Clicking on the assess button would allow me to start doing the inherent assessment. The first thing comes as is impact and likelihood, the thing that we saw. So let's say if I do severe impact for that particular risk and the likelihood is expected. So severe and expected, based on this particular metric, severe and expected, I would like to see high, right? So I go and click on save and calculate. System would go and calculate the risk scoring based on the particular risk assessment methodology that I have configured. We already been gone through with that. So you know it will come as high. And that's the comments. If I'm happy with that scoring, I can go further and do perform control assessment. This is the control assessment and I do effective, perform residual assessment, and it gives a medium scoring because my inherent score was high, but my control assessment was partially effective. Since it's a combination of high and partially effective, gives you the value as medium. Let's have a look to this quickly that I have configured that. So come up here in the methodology one, and the one that I have selected is 4x4 risk assessment matrix demo. In the residual assessment section in the metrics, if you remember, that was high and partial effective. So this is the inherent assessment is risk scoring high and the control effectiveness is partially effective. Hence, I'm seeing the value as medium in yellow color style. Come up here, you can see yellow and medium color style. So that's all about the risk assessment. When I'm happy, I can just save and calculate and I also ask for the approval. I hope that makes sense. So that is what I wanted to cover. Please post your questions if you have any and I would respond to you back. If you find this video useful, a thumbs up or smashing that subscribe button would be awesome to keep you in the loop for my future content. Thanks a bunch. Bye.